Good Wednesday morning, Market Chameleons and everyone else who's joined us. How are you doing, Dima?
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Great. Let's start with the disclaimer since it's up there and rolling.
Yep. So good morning, everyone. Before we get started, keep in mind, Will and I, Market Chameleon, we're not registered investment advisors. We're not broker dealers. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need professional help, call your broker. That's what they're there for, to help answer your questions and provide you with guidance. There's the disclaimer.
Excellent. So another Q&A day, correct?
Yeah, I think we'll have another Q&A day. Yesterday, we had some good questions and we had some more that were queued up we didn't get to. So we'll continue on that. We'll do a couple of days of that and then we'll revert back to some of our tools. But I think Q&A, it's a good way, number one, to people could ask about any of the Market Chameleon tools. And if you guys have those questions, somebody else does, we'll go over that. Data or analytics or, something in trading that you've experienced, you could share with us. We'll go take a look at it. But the idea is that you're learning from each other's experiences, from, maybe our past experience or whatever you looked at. And by sharing it, other people might run into it eventually anyway, and we could kind of discuss it. So again, anything you guys have questions about Market Chameleon tools, data, analytics, anything you've seen unusual trades, questions about the markets, now it's the time to ask. You can put it into the chat. Will's reading it, monitoring it. He'll read it back to me, or Will's putting in a link to the Zoom. Click over to Zoom. You could raise your hand, then ask your question live. You don't have to turn on your video camera, but this way you could ask the question directly. While we're waiting for any of those questions, what we'll do is first we'll start out looking at what's going on in pre-market. I'm going to go I have some backup questions that I've been getting over time. I'll start out with those, and then we'll take questions as they come in. Sound good, Will?
Perfect. All
right, I'm going to share my screen. Let's start out with the pre-market report. So these are stocks trading in a pre-market hours. We got the most active stocks, biggest percentage gainers, biggest percentage decliners. Right now, we got 76 that made our percentage gainers list, 80 on the percentage decliners list. So kind of a mixed bag there. Some of them stand out. I see like Zillow down 15%. Looks like Lyft, Uber is up. Is that on earnings? So a couple, a lot of like news-driven or earnings-driven events going on right now. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 stocks to see if we see something different or different picture. And I'm going to use this in ETF filter by dropping it down and select SPY. And what this will do is filter out stocks that are components of the SPY or S&P 500 stocks. So we see here 9 made our percentage gainers list, 10 on a percentage decliners list. Again, mixed bag. I would say it's neutral at the open, neither bullish or bearish. So what I'll do is, kind of just start out with some of the questions I've had in the past, talk about those, and then we'll take questions as they come in, unless you already have.
Well, we did have one first question, and they're asking about Trevor, and okay. I know you mentioned it maybe a little bit yesterday. Someone may have asked a question. He's asking about the landing page when you first land on Market Chameleon. Okay. He's asking, can you explain that list to him?
Okay, so I think we did that yesterday at the end of the day, but what we're doing here is that we're featuring some of our most popular things that are searched on the website, right? And the most popular searched and the most requested are credit put spreads. That's so out of all our, and obviously we have lots of tools if you want to, for trading earnings, volatility, you want to do, here's a bunch of screeners here. You can see bull put spreads, call spreads, butterfly straddles. We're covering a lot of stuff here. So, but what we did was we said, well, what is so far, what are the most requested screeners, the most requested strategies? And it's usually bull put spreads. Okay, so that's the credit bull put spreads. So what we did was said, okay, since those are the most requested, what we'll do is, you could go into the screener, filter out bull put spreads yourself. All right, so you could use all these filters here and filter out yourself, or you could, as starting points, you could use some of our preset filters, right, that you could read about and have those as starting points. And what we're doing is using some of our preset filters on the bull put spreads and kind of just featuring them, as well. Here are some starting points, that you could start out with. And of course, if you want to do straddles, you could have the straddle screeners and so forth. But that's what's going into the landing page. It's credit put spread. So you could click on it and read it. It's all right here. Here are the legs. You could go through, the analysis and stuff like that, and read it from here. But once you enter the site, right? Once you enter the site, you got the dashboard, which this will eventually be alerts that we're working on. Well, right now you could get trade IDs this way, right? So if you want, now you have different types of spreads. You can look for, filter by any of these types of strategies. Put in a symbol that you want to look up, SPY. And again, these are things that are using our preset filters in the screeners, but you guys, and as starting points, but you guys could go in there and use the filters and screen yourselves, right? So if you have certain types of criteria you want to screen for, that's what the screeners are there. Some people, just want the starting points, and then they take it from that point. So that's what this landing page is. So starting point, to kind of show to feature some of the things that you could do with the screeners.
Perfect.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
What it will eventually here, maybe I could see. So what it will do is eventually it'll be an alert system. So you could see here, I'm testing it. So it's going to look for different types of strategies, scanning the markets, and then you could click on it and see, like, what are the things it's detecting within all the trades, the options chains, the setups. So this is what I think maybe we're targeting this for January, but and I think that one of the things, the benefits of it is that it's going to be continuously scanning the markets, looking for opportunities. It will probably have a weighting system based on your searches on symbols, or certain types of strategies. So this way, it will push out to you things that you might be more likely interested in. But this is still in development, so lots of things to work out. Bugs is any type of new type of feature. There's always unexpected bugs they got to work out. But this is like where it's going to be heading towards in the future. I think you'll be able also use this part on the mobile device. But the idea is, it'll filter things out. Like here, here's a calendar spread in Micron technology. It'll give you kind of an explanation. You click on it, and down below, you'll go here. Here's the setup. So, okay, here's a time spread that straddles earnings. So you're buying the earnings month, selling the month before. For $1.15. This is kind of a bearish, outlook. And then you could go in there and say, okay, well, historically, where would this spread be priced at this stage, distance away from, the expirations and covering earnings. And, $1, usually it's priced at $1.40 on average, with a low 115, high 163. So we're at 118 towards the low end. So if you're taking that outlook, it's a pretty, a pretty decent discount to where the implies usually line up, where the option premiums usually line up. And it's going to show you those types of opportunities. Okay, so that will be the next stage of the. Now, guys, I know I'm going to get emails saying, why can't I see this on my, a lot of times I'm showing you my internal website that I only get, only internally we see this before we push it out. There's lots of testing and development going on, but I'm giving you a little bit of a preview. Okay, so you're not going to be able to access this right now. Is that good, then? Hopefully with that question.
Yeah, no, that was super helpful. We did actually have a question from one of our two favorite Alexes. I think it was Alex, Uno Alex, was asking, would this be 15-minute delayed? Maybe you can talk about, the fact that you're doing your research 15 minutes. It isn't like the spread is appearing because there's something out of line, right? And it will disappear.
Right, exactly. So what the system itself is built around doing an analysis on the markets, and when something's like deviating away or diverging from some kind of, value or mean or that you should take a look at. There's nothing in the system in here that you have to take an immediate action because something's going to move up in 2 or 3 seconds or in 5 seconds or 1 minute. Because if that, that's a different type of trade. A real-time trade is a different type of trade where you're comparing at every millisecond what the markets are, and you have to take an action immediately. And you're talking about fast speed, high frequency trading. And there's no way that a retail person can compete in that. Okay. So when you're talking about real time, when you're looking at it, if your eyeball is looking at a price, a real-time system has computed through millions of ticks already, because that's what it's set up to do. Okay, so real time is not what you guys think is real time. A real time is like, go get a super feed from the New York Stock Exchange. You better know exactly what you're doing and when, and you're going to be programming it with a NVIDIA chip. Your server sitting in a data center. That's what you need. A real-time system. People think like, oh, if I see something real time, I'm gonna hop in and I'm gonna make my fortune in 5 seconds, or it's gonna move away from me. And if that's what you're trying to do, then you might as well get out of the business, because there's no edge for you there. You're at such a high disadvantage that trying to trade something on a real time basis, you're just too far away. You're way too disadvantaged, and you're not seeing enough information anyway. Even in real time, you're just basically not seeing enough information, because then you'd have to go get depth of book. You need to see the limit order book. You need to see the limit order book on every exchange, including the options and the equities exchanges. You're competing against people who control order flow, like Citadel and Susquehanna, that are seeing the order flow coming in through their pipes, and they're navigating the orders to different exchanges based on algorithms and based on where they're more likely to get hit on good trades, send the other ones away. So you're just too far. A real-time system, even if I turned it on, you could, by the way, anybody who wants to see real-time quotes could get it with their broker. If your strategist just relies on looking at real-time quotes and trades, you could go, and your broker should be able to turn that on for you. They should be able to do it at a discount, at a bigger discount than we are, because a broker dealer already has those real-time. They already have the real-time quotes available internally.
They've already done all the technical work to have it available.
Yeah, they've already worked out all the deals. So if you want to get the cheapest, you just go to your broker. Like you could turn on real-time quotes with interactive brokers. You could do it with Thinkorswim. You could do it with all the brokers, they have the real-time quotes, so they could just turn you on and you'll be able to see, I could bring up my interactive broker, you'll see real-time quotes, but what do you do with them? Unless you know what you want to do, unless you have a good analysis and know what you want to do in real time, when you see it, then it's not going to be very useful to you,
And it's
And
not, it's just two quotes, right? A bid and an offer. It's not, if you start looking whatever kind of data analysis they're doing, that is not,
Yeah. I think the concept, like, I think some people are under the impression.
AD, your mic is just taking you underwater again.
Do you want me?
Yeah, no, that's good. That works.
So I think that the impression that people hear, I put up my notepad. This is the impression that amateurs get, that they need speed, right? They need to act quickly, that the game is to act quickly, right? And that's actually not the case. If you want to act quickly, you better have a very good strategy, and you're competing on a high speed, and you're competing with lots of people who have a lot more money than you to act quickly, right? So then you're getting into a different type of trade. And I could understand if you want to just see real-time quotes, see where the market is, just go to your broker. They're going to do it for you at the deepest discount, because they already have all those contracts in place to push it through to you.
And those discounts are still a couple $100, right? It's not like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that, I have a real-time, I have real-time quotes on my interactive brokers, and I don't know, I think I'm paying like $300 or $400 or $500 a month, something like that. But it's not like you're not getting it for $100. You got to, depending on which exchanges and what you're turning on, but you're still looking at, and there's no way around it because it's a pass through the exchanges, right? The exchanges own the quotes, they own the real-time quotes, control around it. So it's not like I have a switch to say, all right, here's your real time, you have it. We don't control those prices. But again, if you're just looking at those prices and you're thinking that I'm going to react quicker to something because it's going to be up in 5 minutes or something like that, you're competing against, you're just too far behind. There's no way you would be able to compete that way, so like, for example, I'll give you, if you want to do that, if you want to be invested in that, you could buy or Virtue. What is the automated?
it's Virtue. Actually, it pays a nice dividend.
Yeah. So let's just say you want to, what's their symbol, Virtue?
VIRT. PE is 6. Dividend yields almost 4%.
Yeah. Instead of competing with them, you could just invest in them. You could invest in Goldman Sachs. That they do it. I don't know. I have to go see. I don't think it says.
Yeah. Well, VIRT is your
maybe.
Virtue is your classic play for high speed market making. I mean, if you really want to get into that space, they're a nice reflection of it.
Right. When you're
Susquehanna is a private company. You're not going to be able to invest. Goldman Sachs is tied to so many things, right?
Yeah, and it's one of their things. Like, put it that interactive brokers, they had Timber Hill. They were doing that too. They're trading real time. We worked there, right? So we were market makers for Timber Hill, which was interactive brokers trading arm, and they got out of it because it's very super competitive. You're spending more and more money, because what is real time? It's not what you're seeing. Real time is what your computers are computing, right? Because there's lots of trades happening at the blink of the eye. But if you want to get it, here's you could just invest in Virtue, because that's what they do. That they do, like, high speed, trading. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Get it from, but if you just want to see, if you're just like, I just want to see these quotes moving around, if you just want to see these quotes like moving around, you could go to your broker. They should be able to do that for you. they should be able to turn it on. And I don't know, I mean, does anybody have a broker there that they get like free real-time quotes to ask, maybe there's some that give you free real-time quotes?
Yeah, certainly if anyone uses a broker with a real-time quotes now, like real-time quotes for a stock is different than for all the option strikes, right?
Yeah.
Some of them just take, I know for a while the BATS was allowing free quotes for the stock, right? But it was only the BATS exchange quotes.
Right.
They're different tiers and levels, so you got to be really careful what you're getting in. I'll ask a question of the chameleons: who actually has real-time quotes on their whatever brokerage application?
Some people have, maybe like, if all you want to do is just kind of see if that works out for you, because everybody, that's what they think is like, if I'm seeing some real time, that information will compute, it's like, and keep in mind the way that systems are created, right? So for retail, like you're a retail trader and you have you're looking at a user interface, and the purpose of that user interface is for you to make impulsive trades, right? Not informed, but impulsive trades. So what do you see around there, even real time? It's for you to, act on your intuition, not on your logic, right? Not on any kind of homework behind the trade, but it's for you to just make uninformed trading decisions.
Yeah, actually, just so Rob is letting us know, TD Ameritrade gives level 2 for free, and it's seems like real time for stocks is what he's saying.
So there you go. So you guys already have it there for free, right? So keep in mind though, what do brokers do? How do they make money? There are different ways that they make money. One is they need to sell your order flow, right? So to sell your order flow means that somebody who's trading against you is paying your broker, right? So that's what's happening. Somebody who's on the other side of your bet pays your broker a bribe to send your order there. That means it has to be uninformed.
Well, it's not a bribe. It's a payment for order flow, right?
It's called payment for order flow, right? and it's because they think, well, you don't know what you're doing. You're just sending this impulsive, like you could be right or wrong, but you're just trading impulsively, giving up any type of edge, right? You're chasing prices, and that's why you're not paying. In the industry, it's called uninformed order flow. How do they put it nicely? Right.
Oh,
there's no
that's one way to put it.
Yeah, that it's impulsive trading, and that's, and then you have market makers on the other side, or traders. It could be like a prop traders who are willing just to, sell to you when you want to buy, or buy from you when you want to sell. And you'll get free time. Look, you got real-time quotes right there. Somebody just said it, that you could go and get them. Level 2, Nathan said, right?
Yeah. Max is saying Schwab gives real-time level 2 for options, he says.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Does anybody know the difference between what level 2 is and the limit order book? Probably
raise your
not.
hands.
Yeah. Just curious to see if anybody knows the difference between them.
Level 2 in the order book, you're saying, limit order book.
The limit order book, yeah. So there's two.
I'm assuming the limit order book lets you see everything on the book that's sitting out there.
Right. So there are two things that are going on the exchanges. One is there's a quoting system. The quoting system is when you see level 2, right? Level 2 is streaming quotes. These are continuously changing. Basically, they're reacting to the market, right? So they'll move up, they'll move down. They're always moving, and the market maker does that because it's a system. Whatever they're doing, they're pricing things off ETFs, they're pricing it off order flow. That's what you're getting, the level 2, right? So you don't really get a sense of, well, where is the limit order book? A limit order book is somebody placed an order on the book and it's not streaming. Like when you place an order with your broker, it's a limit order, right? It's not streaming. It's not changing. The market could move against you. You're sitting there. They'll whack you. That's a limit order book. The limit order book is something different that you don't get to see. And that's really where, the broker dealers, and they're seeing like, hey, I got a lot of calls here on offer that are just sitting there, right? So that if the stock's rising, you got a lot of calls to buy and buy balls are coming in, right? Where I got a lot of bids here, for puts and calls and so forth. The stock moves, all these bids I got to sell and buy balls going up. Or so the limit order book is different than what you're seeing in level 2, which level 2, you're just looking at streaming quotes, right? So these are cancel replaces. These are things that are pegged to something. It's not the same thing. Hopefully what I'm telling,
Yeah, no, Alex is very thankful. Super explanation.
Yep.
Jake mentioned something. And I don't know if it's on his website or where it is. Jake, maybe you can type it in. He said, I noticed that certain options are updated every 5 minutes instead of 15. Is that on our site or Jake? I'm not exactly sure. Where that is
on our site as well. So why you're looking at the options is we take a snapshot, right? So what you're doing is you're taking a snapshot of the options, and then you have to run an analysis on the snapshot, right? So, okay, here are the options. We have to correlate the options that everything is taken at the same time, right? So we could correlate, what is this option worth at the same time as this option at the same time of this stock price. So everything needs to be like, boom, you got a snapshot, right? How does everything compare to each other? And you run an analysis on it, right? So we're running implied volatility, skew, all this stuff we're running, and then once you run that analysis, then you're ready to take another snapshot. So it's a lot of computing power, right? When you're talking about a real-time quote push, it's a streaming, there's no analysis, it's just a streaming number. So you can't run a lot of analysis on a streaming number because it's continuously streaming, it's changing. So you'd have to have a very, when you're doing a high speed frequency trade, your logic has to be very succinct, very quick to analyze and react, right? This is different. This is doing a lot of analysis, so you need a still picture to run, the analysis that we're doing. When you're, I'm clicking on here, you could see here, I'm loading this, you could change the years, and all these different, you have all these different parameters to analyze this one option. So when he says sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, well, if we take something like SPY that's very busy, we're going to give more computing power to SPY. So we're going to take a snapshot more frequently and reanalyze it. If there's a stock that barely trades any options, like here, I'll show you. These are the option volumes. Look, there are like 881 stocks that have no option volume at all, right? And the top 100 stocks are 70% of all the options volume. So what's happening is, well, how do I divide that computing power, right? Do I give this the same as this? Because then you have to spread it out, and that means you have to do everything at the same time, which means that these top 100 will get the same attention as these 800 that don't trade. So what you do is you're taking more frequent snapshots of the busier stocks and running faster analytics on those and saying, here, I could wait 15 minutes because there's nothing going on. I don't detect any volume. The options are wide. Nobody cares about them. They're so wide, it would be almost crazy anyway to do an options trade on them. So you just take less frequent snapshots to do your analysis, right? So that algorithm internally is looking for those busier stocks, saying, here's where I'm allocating more resources, and here I'm just allocating less.
All right, D. Awesome job taking Q&A. We did have Max chimed in. Thanks for this, Max. He said you can see depth of market in options real time on Schwab. Is that what you mean by order book? It's partially what you mean, right? But it's not. It probably doesn't show rest in orders.
You guys are confused, right? I think that people just don't understand the data depth. If you're talking about level 2, level 3, it's depth of that depth is just quotes, right? Because you have market making quotes, you have people quoting. So there are people quoting at the top of the book, they're quoting outside the book, so that's different than a limit order book. Okay. That's much different than a sitting. When you're placing orders, limit orders, right? Those are sitting orders. They're not moving. They're not pegged. They're not moving along with the stock and implied volatilities. It's just sitting there. That's a limit order book. Okay. So when you're talking about level 2, it's different. You're looking at a streaming quotes. Okay. That's what you're looking at, is your market makers moving their quotes as the stock is moving around, volatilities, they're just changing their quotes. So those are 2 different things.
All right. Well, we have a couple questions left. Maybe we carry it over tomorrow. It is 9:31. I know a new Chameleon Jay left a question about something that may be on a screener relative to technicals, but we can get to that tomorrow. D, great job.
Okay. All right. Well, think of it this way. There are 2 different pipes, right? There are broker dealers who have a pipe to stream, cancel, replace their quotes. And then there's another pipe coming in for the limit order book, right? So those are coming in from brokers representing customers, and they all go into the, system, but they're coming in through different pipes, kind of. So
access to that pipe is definitely not a couple $100, probably a couple thousand, maybe 5,000.
You're probably talking about, no, I would say if you're getting the limit order book from each exchange and getting their feeds, you're talking about, you're spending millions in a year, put it that way. You're not talking about, hundreds of dollars. You're spending millions of dollars in a year.
Sounds like there's some edge there, but that's for another day. All right, Dima, great job, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Stay safe out there. Have a good trading day, and hope to see you guys tomorrow.
Trade in peace, chameleons. Bye.